Welcome to the Woodpreneur podcast, the number one podcast for the business and marketing side of the lumber, woodworking, hardwood flooring, and sawmill industry. I'm your host, Steve from Acres of Timber. Each week, we feature various wood business owners and entrepreneurs from around the globe. We share their stories, paths, insights so that you can network, learn, and grow your own wood business. Thank you so much for listening. Now enjoy the episode. The Woodpreneur podcast is proudly sponsored by Acres CRM. Acres CRM is the wood industry's only customer relationship management software dedicated to helping you automate your sales and marketing so that you can focus on serving your customers and growing your business. You can visit acresoftimber.com to learn more and to schedule a demo. Once again, that's acresoftimber.com. Hey, welcome to a brand new episode of the Woodpreneur podcast. Is your host, Steve. Today's guest is Adam Beasley, who goes by Lazy Guy DIY. How you doing, Adam?
Good. How you doing, Steve?
I'm great, man. Hey, so we met a couple years ago pre-COVID. So we met in IRL, in real life, at Workbench Con.
It was literally right before. Like, I remember we were there and people were like, hey, there's this weird thing happening at the airport. Everybody's freaking out. And that was in March of 2019.
And we met in February.
Yeah. Or yeah. It was February. Yeah.
It was February. And then like literally weeks later, less than a month later, the world shut down.
Exactly.
So, but I'm glad to see that your Lazy Guy DIY empire has been growing. So why don't you tell everybody, who you are and what you do?
Yep. You ready for the full list of everything? I don't even know if
Absolutely.
you're ready for this.
Yeah. Well, you're not so lazy if you got so much stuff going on.
My wife will say otherwise, that she thinks I'm lazy, but it's only with stuff around the house. So first and foremost, Lazy Guy DIY is my channel. Started that 2016. Woodworking, DIY, tool reviews. That's been going pretty strong. I also run social media for several companies. Wall Control, Hang Time Store, and Mullet Tools is a new one that I work with as well. I have a consulting company where I consult with brands. There's a bunch of brands that I do stuff with, and we set up ambassador programs. And then also I work with a few makers here and there. And I do Makers Challenge Central, which is online woodworking competition and art and furniture flipping. So I'm a co-owner of that. And that's one of the biggest online competitions out there right now. And then lastly, I am a carpenter on a TV show that's getting ready to air this winter. So we're filming episodes. I actually leave here in a few weeks for another location, but that's called Renovation Hunters. And that's going to be on the Outdoor Channel in December.
That's amazing, dude. That's amazing. That's a lot. That's a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
What was your background before all this? Were you like a renovation person? Were you like, what'd you want to be when you grew up?
Well, I still didn't know, but I think I want to do this now. But I grew up in rural Virginia, and my dad had a real estate company. We'd flip houses growing up, like all through high school, middle school. So I learned a lot of stuff from that, tools and everything else. And went to college with a marketing degree, and then actually took a detour and got a studio art and industrial design path while I was there. And so,
you got that brain. You got the brain. You can see things.
I've got to have an outlet for doing stuff, and that's where a lot of this came from. But I did all that. I learned how to design furniture a little bit there. And then did nothing for like 5-6 years, where I was in the mortgage business, and actually just left my day job here in March. And I've been there working for a mortgage company and a bank for the last decade and some. So I'm full-time content, everything else now.
Congratulations.
Thanks.
How'd that feel to leave the job?
So funny story about that. So the company I worked with merged, and we had a new manager and everything come in. He's younger than me. Probably shouldn't talk about him, but whatever. But when I told him and I was giving my notice, he said, hey, you're going to do this woodworking thing and this everything else full time. Because I was going to tell you that we were going to have a conversation and talk about like what a profitable path for you would be, or like what has a future. And I think you should focus a little more on your desk job. And I said, yeah.
And you're like, no, thank you. No, thank you.
I did
Don't
one
talk about
worse.
my future. Don't talk about my future.
So I did one worse, and I said, and I was nice the whole time for this. I was very grateful and everything, but I just said, hey, yeah, I'm going to go this. I think it's working out well. And oh yeah, my TV show starts filming here in a few weeks, and it just wasn't going to work with my schedule to be at the bank anymore. And then he hung up on me, and that was it.
Kaboom. So he literally hung up on you?
Literally hung up on me. That was the
literally hung up on you. He literally,
yep.
Salty, man, salty, so bitter and resentful at somebody chasing their dreams.
Yeah.
While he's building somebody else's. This is my second interview in a row where I've said that. I'm like, this is you. We're talking to you I'd say this a lot to the Woodpreneur community. I'm you just need to focus on building your vision, building your dreams, and not somebody else's.
Yeah.
And if you're going to build somebody else's, love it. But if you don't love it, don't put your faith and your future in somebody else, period. Right?
I mean, there's so many opportunities now, especially in the last year or two, where everybody's been able to really step out there, and they're like, I don't I hate working in a cubicle. And I was like, this is not what I want to do forever. And there's so many people stepping away and doing that these days, that there's opportunities. There's lots of web traffic from everybody also at home, just scrolling on the internet. So, I mean, the opportunities for people to put content out there are huge right now still.
So, dude, you quit your job from a bank to be a full-time content creator, maker, marketer, and a guy on TV now.
Yep.
Chasing your dreams.
It's crazy.
Bravo, man.
Thank you.
High five. That's so cool. That's so cool, man. So so when we met in 2016, no, that's when you started. When we met in 2020,
yes, yep.
Right? What was your channel number like, and how did you rapidly grow? What were the things, the 2-3 things that you focused on? Because I also tell people that there's multiple paths, right? You can be a content creator, and that's a focus. And then you can run a business. Did you do both? Did you do pay for work jobs, or did you focus on content?
Yeah. So actually, answer all your questions here. The first thing I started with was I did commission work, and that's pretty much how I funded getting my shop, tools, and everything else. I did a lot of retail, like cash wrap areas and stuff. I had a couple local people that are like, we need something for a spin studio. We need this here. And I started making retail desk, and that's what was funding a lot of my projects. And then that kind of spawned off, and I said, I don't know how many customer things I want to deal with anymore, especially as I started having kids, because it was just really tough to hit deadlines for people that wanted a dining table or a desk or whatever else. And it's hey, it's going to be 10 weeks because I'm only working a few hours a day on this and weekends. Then, yeah.
So what, I mean, let me cut you off for a second. That was a very intentional thing. Where did you get that level of self-awareness from?
When I first started out, I talked to several people. I talked to Brad from Fix This, Build That, Jameson from Rogue Engineer, and we had some pretty good conversations about stuff. And I knew that I knew I wanted to transition to a way to not have to fill my tiny shop up with stuff, and also still be able to make this profitable. And it was actually Brad that told me, and I didn't get offended by it. And I think a lot of people could have. He told me, for as far as expanding out my other business stuff, he said, I don't know if your spot where you're going to do your best work is in the furniture building, content creation in that way. You may be better with the business stuff, because I was doing a lot of the Home Depot tool reviews. I was getting a lot of information from just working with different brands, consulting, setting things up. And he's like, I think that's your area. And that's kind of where I started expanding that stuff. But I knew that if I was doing a lot of the customer work, I wasn't going to be able to do all this other extra behind the scenes business stuff that I do.
Fascinating. So he kind of mentored you and gave you some feedback, and it was focus on this. it kind of, maybe he kind of read, or even you intuitively knew that your personality wasn't for the nonstop customer stuff. Is that what
That's 100% right. And I always hate,
did it help that you worked at a bank? You're like, listen, I deal with customers already. I don't know if I want to deal with customers anyway.
That is 100% right. Where it's like, I don't want to deal with these people. And the other thing is, I don't like the repetition of making the same thing. And that's why all my projects, I do something different. I expand on it. And I couldn't, the people that do cutting boards and things like that, I mean, that's awesome. They can churn them out. And, but it's not something I can do, is make the same thing over and over again. My brain just can't do it.
Yeah. The ADHD brain. No, I get it. Okay. So you started focusing on the content after you moved out beyond doing so what was this sort of next move? So, but then that helped build out your shop, right? So you built out your shop, and then, okay, so how did you start? What was the next path towards the content creation side?
So two big things happened. My first year of having a website and Instagram and everything else, I went to a conference that was the sister conference of Workbench called
the Haven. Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
So one of the only guys there, like one of like 4 guys and like 300 women. And
ocean.
So I stood out. I mean, I'm 6'5". So, I mean, I'm towering above everybody. And I ended up getting a tool sponsorship there with Ryobi. And I came back after all this, and they're like, we're going to send you a bunch of tools. I was like, awesome. And then I was like, there's got to be a way for me to store all this stuff. And I reached out to, I looked online, see, like, there's got to be metal pegboards or something. So that's when I reached out to Wall Control, became their first ambassador, strike up relationship with Richard there. He and I are awesome friends. And that kind of spawned out into, I have a shop with all these cool things on there. It's a showcase for content in there. I can do tool reviews or things. And it also, that spun into me running their social media, running ambassador teams, doing all kinds of stuff with them. We've built out like such a huge program with them that, I mean, I'm an everyday worker for them, an employee for Wall Control at this point. And that all spawned from just going to Haven and then just asking for tools from somebody.
So you run Wall Control's Instagram?
Yeah.
That was so cool.
That was the first one I ever did. And Richard and I just talked for about a year, and they didn't have an Instagram. And I was like, you need to have one. And that was like 2016, 2017. And then finally he's like, okay, I want you to do it. He gave me a blank one, gave me the keys to the kingdom. And I mean, that was 2017, I think. And I've been running it ever since.
Cool. And so, yeah, I just, on their latest post, it shows that you were an affiliate of them, right? A partner of the year. So it helps that you like use their products and you can earn, and you can sell it and market it well too, right?
Yeah. And that was one of the big things for us, is trying to figure out how to work with partners. And then because everybody's looking for their big payout, or there's different things with like different products, how they cost a lot of money, or it's a small company. Like Wall Control is a family owned company. And it's all based in Tucker, Georgia, right outside Atlanta. And they don't have a big budget to do a lot of stuff. And we try to figure out ways to work with people, keep everybody happy. And we've been working on an affiliate program for several years now, got it up. And I mean, we tested things out with these awards, and I was the first affiliate. So of course I won the first year, but we want to see how these awards looked and how it worked out. And I mean, we've got several hundred people that are affiliates now at this point. So we're happy about it.
So cool. Okay. So you went to the conference, you met Ryobi, and then from that, you reached out to Wall Control, you developed a relationship with them, which also too, like, I guess when it comes to, I mean, I do this as well. Like, you don't always have to go after like the big A+ sponsors and brands. You can go after the smaller folks. And a lot of them don't have the budgets, but they have passion, they have heart, they have people, they have diehard community. And you connected with them with that, right?
Absolutely. And that actually probably opened up my door to Home Depot with working with them. And that's how I really ended up outfitting my shop. I was on their first year of the prospective tool review program and did that for a few years. And I mean, you're talking new tools to review every quarter. So, I mean, a lot of the tools that I got from them pretty much set me up for doing bigger projects and then made my shop the way it looks, which is a tiny shop, by the way. It's 10 by 16, but I mean, I pack it full of everything with all my stuff on wall control on the walls.
And in a lot of during this time, like you still kept you were still at your day job, right? Like hustling nights and weekends, learning, building. Did you have your YouTube at that point?
I did. And it just, I mean, without as many kids at that point, I think I only had my daughter at that point, the oldest. I was able to do
you were
more.
Free.
Yeah. Now we have 3. So it makes a big difference. So
that one kid life, when you have that one kid, you feel like, oh my God, I could do anything I want.
Exactly. And then you reset it with each kid. You're like, what did I do? Why did I do this?
So funny. I asked somebody, I was like, how many kids do you have? And he was like, I have 3. I said, who told you to do something stupid like that? And he asked me, how many kids do you have? I was like, 3. He goes, who told you to do something?
It's a game changer because you have to get a bigger vehicle at that point when you have 3 kids. And so
for sure, everything. Yeah. Like eating out costs more.
Yeah.
Like everything costs. But and your time doesn't, which probably makes sense. Like makes sense now. From your perspective, you have you have a growing family. Client custom work potentially is not the route to do because you have limited time. Like you need to especially if you have a job, or if you don't have a job, like you're at the mercy of other people and their deadlines and their pressure. And if you're working alone, that's even worse because you literally have no time.
Yeah. And I would say in the last 2 years, especially with, because I was working from home anyway, I had the kids at home. And so that made me really jump into the business side of things a lot more than I had been before, because it's easier for me to sit at the computer and do stuff than it was prior. But like the one downside I've noticed also, so before when I was actually in the office, I was a project manager. So I did have downtime. I could sit on my computer there and screw around and write blog posts. But my sarcasm, like my level of sarcasm has gone down since I've left the day job, the desk job, because I joke that it like fueled my hate fire in my post. And now I'm much happier. I have a much better lifestyle.
No, I could see that.
Yeah.
I could see that. Yeah. I mean, a lot of times you don't know what outside forces are pulling you down and keeping you away from the thing that you're supposed to be doing. And your happiness level, right? I mean, it may not be as predictable, however, you're happier, right?
Absolutely. Less sleep, but much happier.
Okay. So maybe this is like 2017, 2018 this happened?
Yep, that's right. With all Home Depot and everything else and wall control all around there. Correct.
And then, so what was the sort of next pivotal moment in your journey?
I would say the next big thing was Makers Challenge Central. And that was about 2018, 2019. I got asked, I participated in that. It used to be the IG Builders Challenge, where you would get a build plan and then you'd build it. And I got asked to be part of that team. Did that for a season. And then,
who's this? Who's Makers Central Challenge? So give me some background.
So a little bit about that. It's an online contest. And at this point now, it used to just be one a year. And now we have one every month since I've started partnering with them. But it used to be you get an invite, or essentially you just sign up and you would get a build plan. And you can choose if you want to build from it or do your own spinning. And you have 3 weeks. Everybody has the same 3 weeks. It's a surprise. You don't know what it is. And then at the end, there's prizes and stuff. So that started 2017, 2016 or so. And so I jumped in on that and really jumped in with Rachel, who's from Desert Woodworks. And she and I have since become full-fledged business partners on it with all kinds of different things we do. And we took this thing from 1 challenge a year to now 12. We've done like a mini TV show type thing. I think that helped us with the TV show because we're both carpenters on that right now. And it's it is a machine at this point. We do stuff with Do It Yourself Magazine. That's a furniture flip challenge. We do stuff with lots of resin and epoxy companies with Artist Challenge. We've got mallet challenges. I mean, this thing is a full-time job in itself. And that actually really escalated me with being able to go talk to all these different brands, have more partnerships, get more exposure. We were doing conferences all over. They would invite us. We'd go to like Weekend with Wood,
Sick.
with Wood Magazine, and be their guests for things. We've done things with big brands like Cat Footwear, where they've had us out doing fundraisers and different things. So that really, I mean, that upped the level of things just from building I think it was a media console was the first one I did like in 2017. And then going from there. And then I design all the plans for the most part at this point for these new ones that are happening. So that lets me flex my muscles, and it forces me to build things. And that's the one thing with a deadline, because I'm like, okay, I tell my wife, I'm like, this has to be done by this weekend, or at least has to be photo ready. But it's like, now I can design something.
You throw some water on it, make it look like it's finished, right?
Yeah. Pose it over here, put a plant on it. Always put a plant on it. Always looks good.
Get the water popping. So yeah, that's really, really awesome. And so when was that? You said 2018, 2019?
So that was about 2019 is when I came on full time as a partner with that.
Cool. And how do you get sponsors for that? Or is that people enter, like have a challenge, like an entry fee or whatever?
It costs nothing to enter. Everybody can do it for free. There's actually one going on right now for June. That's an outdoor challenge, but our main one, which is the builders challenge, which is the furniture build. I mean, our prize packs are anywhere from like $3 to $4 grand worth of prizes. We get like Powermatic table saws, band saws. The one right now, there's a bunch of, we're kind of focusing on safety, but we got a Camp Chef, big fire pit, RZ Mask is a sponsor, Keen. I mean, the prize packs are about a couple $1,000s each time for each contest. So people need to be into those and win all kinds of cool stuff. And they sponsor it. I mean, the brands are lining up to work with us on it. They love it.
Sick. Oh my God. Let's talk about that for sure. Do you, so, and then what happened after that? So like at this moment, like how much time are you putting in content creating, making videos? Like how much time are you like versus your full time?
So not as much as I'd like to. So what's nice is, and everything adjusts with your kid level, like where they are, what they're doing. So now, 2020 on, I'm doing 3 days a week, in the shop, able to do that during the day, build and create things, do all my phone calls and everything. And, it was a life, balance to try to figure out with my wife too, and family and kids, because I was doing stuff on the weekends before, and now the weekends are our family time unless there's some sort of crazy deadline. But I mean, I'm doing about 3 days a week in the shop building stuff and content creation, not editing as quick as I want to. I probably have 4 different builds that don't have videos at this point that are out there, but everything is like completely filmed. And that's the biggest thing, is just finding time to do all those things. And I should just, and that's my question I should probably ask you at some point. It's like, when I start outsourcing things?
Yeah. We could talk about that. Yeah. I've answered that before. That's awesome. So at what moment did you realize like, oh wait, I can go full time? Like, what was that moment? Like I have a little bit of a formula, but I'd love to hear how you did it. And I know that this is going to be very inspiring to a lot of people.
So, watching my financials each year was the big thing, and filing my taxes and checking that and watching the growth, and then seeing if it was sustained. I didn't want to have like a good year and then have everything drop the next year. So I honestly waited 3 years before I was ready to step away. And it was funny. So it was actually right at the start of the pandemic in March, right before things happened. I think it was the week before they like shut everything down. I told my job, I said, I'm ready to leave. If you want me, if there's any way for me to transition out, I'm ready. And then they're like, and everybody's going to work from home for the next whatever. We don't know when. And I was like, oh, well, maybe I'll stick around here and see how this goes. Because if I'm working from home, I can do everything all at once. Sometimes I have the laptop over here shaking it while I'm in my shop doing that. And that actually prolonged things an extra 2 years. And it was good because I could see income was still steady. It was enough that my family, we felt comfortable with it. My wife works full time also. And it just
that helps.
And we're like, okay. Let's do it. I turned 40 is what it was. And I turned 40 and I said, no more. And in the next week, that's when I put in my notice.
That's amazing. Yeah. I mean, it probably helps. I talk about this a lot too, to like, if you can get the side thing to be consistent. And did you leave when it reached your salary level, or was it just, did it have to be consistent enough?
Had to be consistent. So I hit the salary level I wanted for 2 years. And then I said, okay, let's go for it.
Yeah. Did it meet or exceed your day job salary level?
It within 3 years of Lazy Guy and everything else, it was exceeding. And so
sick. On a monthly, yearly basis?
Yeah.
Congrats, dude.
Thanks.
Congrats.
And that's
so awesome.
And that's diversifying everything. And I knew.
Yeah.
Like, so actually,
go ahead. I'm sorry.
What I saw was there was people that were in the industry that were starting to age out. And that's a terrible thing to say, but like they were mid 40s later on. And then you could see that they were burning out, and they were big accounts, and they were like, I can't keep up this pace. I can't do it anymore. And then I was like, I need to figure out a way to kind of diversify the income, not just plans, and figure out a way that even if I'm not pretty face on screen or something, that then I can go and continue to make money to support the family, everything outside of that. And that's what really made me pursue a lot of that stuff too.
So the idea of being able to, so at this point you had like YouTube sponsorship, all of the plant, you were selling plans too?
Still selling plans too. Yep.
Okay. And then that came from building an audience, right? And I'm sure there's like one-off shout outs and, and like influencer deals, right? And affiliates, right?
Absolutely. All that. And then like any of the Amazon stuff, any of the, Makers Challenge, working. And the other thing also is with the running the affiliate programs and the social medias from different.
Oh yeah, the social media marketing. Basically, yep. you learned and I mean, that's guys, like, and girls, whoever's listening to this, there's so many different layers, right? And so many different skills. So like Adam built up his account, and he learned how to market and create content himself, and therefore he can do it for other people. Like, that's an additional skill, which is why I always tell people, like, turn the camera and start telling stories. Mm-hmm. Right. And you are not the first person that has told me that they've gotten show opportunities because they were themselves in mm-hmm. front of their own account, right? Like, that's amazing. Like, you're proof.
And you build that brand equity with sharing more. I mean, you can just show your products and stuff too, but they don't, so like for me, who sets up and chooses ambassadors for companies, I have 3 that I do all the time. And then I have a couple other companies where I'll go and specifically they'll hire me for a period of time to find new ambassadors. Like, we want to see the people that are on there and like see their stories, see stuff out there. And if you're just strictly posting what you're selling in the feed, or there's no interaction with you, it's really hard to make it like a decision of that's who we want to represent us, because you don't see it.
Yeah. No, absolutely. And then, so you're rocking and rolling, you gave your notice, and this was just a couple months ago, right?
Yep. This was March 2022. Yeah.
So now you're like chilling, doing nothing, right?
I am busier than ever. It's insane. And I'll get people that message me and they say, hey, since you're not doing anything anymore, can you build this for me? And I was like, no, I'm going 10 days at a time in a month to film the show. And then I come back and I've got all the other stuff that we have to do too, and all the family things and obligations as well. So, I mean, it is so busy these days.
How'd you said the show came about because of the Makers Challenge, you think?
I'm guessing. We've never really found out. We've asked, but Rachel and I both got asked to be on it. We got DMs saying, hey, and people get those all the time where you get a DM from somebody, we're in a casting agency or whatnot.
Oh, we're a production company or whatever. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I've gotten those. I've done some interviews for those things. And this one came through and said, you're on the show. Like, we want you. You're going to be there. And then,
did you get an agent?
No, this was actually, this was through a brand that was sponsoring the show.
Oh, so sick.
Yeah, they straight up reached out and said, hey, we want you to represent us on here. And that's how, when we shot the pilot for this, there's a couple people, the brand brought in the people that were the workers on the show, just as because they knew the industry a little bit better. And the show, just for the concept, if you all don't know it, is it's a renovation show, but it's for the Outdoor Channel, and it's cabins, lodges, fishing houses, anything that gets you to the outdoors. And we're renovating those. And we've done some 100-year-old farmhouses. We've done, we're getting ready to do a cabin here later this month. There's just like all different kinds of things, but it was really strange. We're like, this can't be real. Is this legit? It was. They flew us out, shot the pilot. It was awesome. It got picked up. Several networks fought over it. And we ended up going with the Outdoor Channel. And I mean, we've filmed several locations already this year.
Congrats, man. That's so awesome. So happy for you, dude. That's so, I mean, it's really inspiring to be able to be in a position where you're waking up and you're doing what you love.
Absolutely.
So cool, man. So what's next aside from taking over the world and, doing a bunch of stuff?
So actually, I have some buddies that we've tried to figure out a couple projects to sort of bring in like the brands, the makers, and like the projects of people. And we're kind of cooking up something new that I can't share a whole lot on, but we want to build something that's inclusive for everybody. And it's going to be a huge undertaking, and we're kind of stressed about it. And it's going to be something that the industry doesn't have currently, but other industries do. And we're pretty excited about that, but it's going to be another full-time thing that takes up all my time, which is why I have to start unloading stuff.
Cool. So yeah, I mean, if you want to talk about that, so this is a part of the show where I give you any marketing or business advice, anything that you're struggling with or things that you need to work on or things that you need to process. I'd be happy to help. Is there anything that you need to think through?
Yeah, I mean, the stuff that I wouldn't call myself a control freak, but it's one of those things where I feel like I have to do everything, like idea guy for different things, and then run with it. I have too many ideas that happen. And then somebody told me once that you should never write your ideas down, because if you have a lot of them, because at least the ones that aren't like the good ones will fall out of your brain and you'll never remember them again. But the good ones will rise to the top and they'll be there. But I don't know if that's the best advice, but just knowing which things are the easiest to unload and what gives you the most lift. Like I mean, people say video editing. I do my own video editing for content, or like intake for emails and things. Got to do emails all day long and mornings and stuff. Like, what are your thoughts? What things do you unload?
I unloaded as much as everything as I possibly can. So, before I did Acres of Timber, I ran a nonprofit, and I've also had I had my own marketing businesses before. When I did my first marketing business, it was just me and my business partner, and we basically created jobs for ourselves. Mm-hmm. And I was like, I'm never going to do that again. And then after that, I started learning to build teams around myself. And that's when you move from like button pusher to leader, right? And a lot of times people are like, oh, I can't afford it. I was like, but your brain is your brain and your task and your time is best use on your highest payoff activities. And sometimes that's not emails. And mm-hmm. sometimes that's not, like I posted not too long ago, people like, I built my website. It took me, a month to do, right? And I was like, I built my website. It took me a month to do. I was like, or 3 months to do, when you literally could have paid somebody else to do it, right? And just because you saved whatever, $1,500, $2,000, like what else could you have been doing during that time to make money? Like you could have been forming better relationships, bringing in more customers. Mm-hmm. So, again, I just said this not too long ago, like make a list of the tasks that you don't want to do ever, and start small and just start outsourcing some of those tasks. I like to use a software called Loom, mm-hmm. where, Loom, right?
Yep.
Yeah, Loom, you could do screen share softwares and just start creating standard operating procedures for some of your administrative tasks, right? So whether it's emails or, I mean, yeah, I understand the thing about editing because it's your voice and you have a specific style, but like I bet you if you record yourself editing some of your videos and you say, okay, I kept this because I like this, I kept this because I like this, then like you can hire somebody and just have a heavy hand for 3 months and then they'll start to get your style.
Yep.
Right. And then you literally, so the other thing that I like to do is I write down all my ideas. And if it's something that's in my head and I keep thinking about over and over and over again, what I do is I flesh it out completely and then I put it to the side. And if it's something that needs to, if I still can obsess about it, then I bring it up. But at least I have the fleshed out plan. Just put together a project plan and a timeline. You don't have to put dates, but put a timeline and like flesh it out and just put it to the side. Because at least it's out of your head and you're not thinking about it. Because then you can move on to the next thing. You know what I mean? But I see for you, seriously, you can rapidly grow by having a team around you, right? And so my first critical hire was, so like I had a bunch of outsourced people, right? Like I just hire here. But I found that when I committed to somebody, and so my first was Jessica, right? And then Jessica was with me. She's been with me for 5 years. So she's built, she even knows how to post on social media. She grew. So like I grew Acres of Timber, from 0 to, I don't know, maybe like 100,000 followers. And because she's been with me so long, she grew it from that to, what it is now. And then I took it over, but she understood the brand, and the best way for you to grow and for somebody to truly appreciate what you're attempting to build is to commit to somebody. And so I like the there's a whole lot of like stay-at-home mom groups online, and finding like a stay-at-home mom that their kids are at school and they could have been like professionals before. I mean, a lot of them are like, they went to, they got master's degrees and, life has it. They have kids. Now their kids are at school age and now they have time. So those are like perfect people. Outsource accounting, bookkeeping, like all of those things. But I would start mapping out a plan for the type of company and the type of lifestyle that you want to have, because with all of your ideas, you're not going to be able to implement any of them without any help. Is that helpful?
Yeah, absolutely. And like one of those things that people keep telling me is, because I run social media for like I said, several brands, and I can tell you every single post that I've done on every single account on there too. Like I can go through, if a picture flashes up, like I did this back in like 2017 or something along those lines. And like, you don't want people to like repeat different things and stuff, but that's one of those things where I set up new posts every morning for those. I put them out there. I schedule them ahead of time. If I need to, I should be better about that. I'm terrible about it. I'm usually like in the moment, like whatever the inspiration is, but people have said like, you should outsource that. But my freak out.
That's hard. That's hard.
Because those brands came to me to be their voice, and I know them. I worked with them. And that's one of the things I would never, like, I can't say never, but I wouldn't want to get rid of, because like they trust me with that. But if somebody else is doing that, it's not me. But it would be one of those things that's a big lift.
Oh yeah, it would be a big lift to take off your plate, right? Yeah, I would see if I could find somebody that is in and adjacent to the field that could help with that. Or at the very least, bring on somebody, and then maybe you hire them for like 2-3 days, and you batch out the whole entire month. You know what I mean? Like, at least batch out your time. You probably just need like a thought partner, or somebody that understands the brand.
And, and the other thing about that is that I answer all the DMs on those too. So I have to be product knowledgeable. I'm customer service, like first level customer service for those brands too. So it's not as easy as just handing off, doing posts and stuff too.
So. No, not at all. Not at all. Yeah, no, that sounds like a really like a pretty big that's a big undertaking. And I feel like it's a good opportunity too. But I would probably tighten up processes and systems and figure out what's the thing that's taking the most time right now that you don't have to do. Because I would say that for, at least for the next few months, like the posting and the first level customer service of like the consistent day-to-day clients are probably key. But, some of the other stuff that's taking a big chunk of your time, you can offload for sure.
Step one is to get a nanny. I think that would be what
Are you nanny sometimes?
Oh yeah. I pick the kids up from school, drop them off.
Yeah.
Sure. So that shortens my day when school's over.
Oh man, 3:00. And then you have summertime too coming up.
Oh yeah. So, luckily I have family that lives close that they help.
Yeah. I know what you mean. Adam, man, it was great to talk to you. Thank you so much. So tell people how to follow you.
Yeah, best way to get me, I'm Lazy Guy DIY on everything, Instagram, website. I don't do TikTok. Sorry, guys, not my thing. But YouTube, right now. Lazy Guy DIY everywhere.
Yeah, cool. All right, man. I will talk to you soon.
All right, it's been great. Thanks, Steve.
Thanks so much for listening to the Woodpreneur podcast, the #1 podcast for the business and marketing side of the lumber, woodworking, hardwood flooring, and sawmill industry. If you like what you heard, please give us a 5-star rating and review. You can also tap into our community by visiting woodpreneurlife.com. Once again, that's woodpreneurlife.com.